I want to invite the audience into just a little bit behind the curtain here. I want to say how I discovered this story. Matt sent a message to our group chat yesterday or the day before, whatever day it was.
I was at the gym, to be fair. That's why there was a big gap in between.
And simply just said something to the effect of, how do you guys feel about the phrase Flashpoint Beyond? And I think I was having a nap or something when he first sent this, and I woke up and saw this and just sort of went, not great, Matt. Not great.
You've never been more Larry David than you were in that moment.
I'm just looking at my response was,
so, and then Matt's like, but John's, and I'm like, wait, what? What's happening? What's going on? What is this?
Connor, who actually read the article, so I'm only reading the headlines as they're coming across my Twitter as I'm in between sets, right? And then after the gym, I go to the grocery store. I'm going around, forgetting things, having to go back, and I keep periodically checking our chat. And it starts to get progressively worse because Connor actually read the article.
Yes, how dare one of us do some due diligence on a story?
Right. Yeah, so Connor, you want to fill everybody in on
we should start by saying this exists.
Yeah.
Well, this is a real thing.
For the record, I didn't really say much after my initial response because I said F this and went back to sleep. so this is going to be a mini-series. It's getting a double-sized issue 0 and then a 1 through 6. So it's a 7-issue mini-series.
2 issues a month.
It's every other week, as they put it in the article, yeah. Or at least it's every other week for issue 1 onwards. I don't know if issue 0 lines up with that exactly, but...
well, it starts on April 5th and ends on June 21st, so you could work that out.
I'm not going to, but yeah, you could work it out. So
I didn't say you will work it out. I said you could.
So, yeah, this is going to be a meta story, and if you look at the preview page they've got in the article here in Newsarama, you literally see, like 5G averted written on something, and it's like, okay, all right,
yeah,
we're going full hog with this. Obviously we get Flashpoint Batman starring in this. Johns is there for issue 0, but then he is only co-writing the remaining 6 issues, and we have Jeremy Adams, who's the current writer on Flash, which I think is a decent enough book. There was one dodgy issue, but I've had a decent enough time with it. I know Matt's thinking of catching up, so
I wasn't a big fan. I bounced. I gave it a good few issues, to be fair. Didn't enjoy it.
Don't get me wrong, the other name that's co-writing some of these issues is a bit more concerning to all of us, I think, and that is was Sheridan, the man who's on Titans Academy and
that Shazam mini.
And there was another one, right? I feel like maybe there wasn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm...
I don't know. I just ignore everything with his name on at this point.
Oh yeah, I can't really argue with that.
And what is maybe slightly concerning is Tim Sheridan seems to be the one doing the press rounds. He's the one doing the interviews.
Yeah, so this is like weirdly cruel in that, like, on some level, of course, as DC fans, we were always going to get at least a little bit excited Jeff Johns comic again, just because he's got enough cred DC Comics wise that you kind of look into it. And so to hear that it's returning to Flashpoint Batman in this weird meta story, but then also that he's actually just co-writing, and we've got a B-lister and then like a D-lister like filling in the rest of the writing duties. Like,
I will give them credit that they have good artists. So you got Eduardo Risso doing the 0 issue, who did the Flashpoint Batman miniseries back in the day.
Which was the best miniseries that tied into Flashpoint.
It was.
And Rizzo
that's a nice
teams with Azzarello a lot. So, that's who
big fan of his art. And the remaining 6 issues are drawn by Zamanico, who we're all pretty big fans of.
Oh yeah, Zamanico's great. So yeah, it'll look good. No denying it's going to look good, and there's no denying I'm going to try it, if not read all of it, just for the art.
I could not be less enthusiastic about this book existing, though.
Have I ever told you that I have all of Flashpoint? Not the miniseries.
Yes, you mentioned this in the past.
But every single... And guess what? I can't get rid of it because nobody wants it.
I saw someone on Twitter, I don't know who... Do people realize Flashpoint isn't actually good, and people just like the Flashpoint animated movie. And I think that's maybe a fair point, but also, I don't even think it was that it's good. I think it's that it's important, because I think we will all agree Flashpoint was an important story for the sake of continuity, for the sake of, okay, this led into New 52, and obviously that is, not necessarily a good thing.
It is
but
shaped.
Regardless, it's important for the industry.
12 years of DC Comics, even someone like Barry Allen, because they took things that happened in Flashpoint and made it part of his character for the last 12 years.
Yeah, Flashpoint, honestly, I don't think Flashpoint's that bad an event. Honestly, the main thing I dislike about Flashpoint is that it leads into New 52. If Flashpoint ended and it just went back to the DC universe as it was, I think it'd be a fine little Barry Allen event.
Here's the thing: I don't think it's bad. I don't want to give that, but I don't think it's like great. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine event that would be probably forgotten if it didn't have monumental consequences on a publishing level, as opposed to just, it affected the story for a little bit.
Yeah, and that one really good Batman like mini tie-in.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
Right.
And the Superman one by Snyder wasn't terrible.
The Superman one was, it wasn't as good as the Batman one, but it did have its moments, yeah.
No, it wasn't anything as bad as like the Amazons and Aquaman.
I did buy and read a lot of the Flashpoint tie-ins. I didn't read all of them, though. There was definitely some that I just wasn't interested in. But I read the Hal Jordan mini. I think I read the Abin Sur one. I think I read, some of the other ones. Mm-hmm. Probably the Dick Grayson one.
Yeah, but like, as a Jeff Johns event, it's probably on my lower. Like, let's say his big three are Flashpoint, Blackest Night, and Infinite Crisis. It's definitely in the third spot. I feel like Johns is just retreading his old stuff, right? Like, reading through the Stargirl comic, watching the first season, and then seeing that the Spring Break special is all about the Seven Soldiers. I feel like there's always a Seven Soldiers story he wanted to tell that he never got to.
Level with you right now is, I don't think Johns even cares about this particular story, and I'm not saying that because I think Johns, anything bad against him, but I think we've got Justice League Incarnate right now. Flashpoint Batman is pretty heavily featured in that. He's been kind of featured since
Dr. Batman.
Sure, Dr. Batman. Yeah. I don't think they use that name once in this article.
No.
So I don't think that's sticking. But
he's been,
since the Button brought him back quite a few years ago now, he's kind of been we had him in the Button, we had him later in King's Run, and then we had him in, some recent stuff. It feels like an editorial push for wanting that, and it feels like, to me at least, to give it legitimacy as we can do this, is let's get Johns back for the first issue so we can sell it on John's name, as opposed to John's coming to them with this.
It feels like a stunt, because that's why he's not writing the whole thing on his own. The reason why it's kind of like this was before we started recording, but like talking about like stunt directors being brought in to, and when I say stunt, I don't mean like a stunt director as in they do stunts. I mean a stunt director, and you get a big name director to do your first episode of your TV show, so you can sell it as this show's directed by so and so. But yeah, they're there for one episode, then they leave, and then other people try and mimic their style for the rest of it. That's maybe what this is more like.
Well, and I also feel like with Johns, when it comes to DC continuity, that's a thing that he really loves. So I feel like to revisit that and to, talk about 5G being averted and all this other stuff, I do feel like he at least has some ideas, or maybe this was all stuff that was left behind from scraps that he had, from before or whatever. But he's not doing the full thing, so you really it really does feel like a stunt.
Yeah, I don't get the impression that he's come with this. He's passionate about this story that he's come up with, and he's begged DC. Now that Didio's gone, please can I tell this story? I don't get that feeling at all. It feels like they've come to him and gone, look, can you write this first issue? We'll slap your name on it. We'll pay you this much. Just
is it just weird? Does this feel really like inconsequential as well? It feels like this is not going to lead to anything or be important to the grand scheme of things.
No, I also feel like they're trying to capture, from what we've heard about rumors of the Flash movie, I really feel like they're trying to get some synergy going, and we might have an appearance of Flashpoint.
I never even thought of this, but you're right. The fact that
trade of this would come out later in the year.
We're getting a Flashpoint movie, and they're doing a comic that's got Flashpoint in the title. Like, I just, you know what?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like they're doing. And Johns is the original name that did it, so of course they'll try to pull him and in there. But it definitely feels like synergy.
We keep complaining about how the first ever Flash movie is like filled with all these guest stars because they don't believe in the character enough, and it's really frustrating and annoying. But it's really funny to me that the comic that they're producing is a sort of cash grab to tie into the movie doesn't even have the freaking Flash in it.
Right.
Well, at least not in a. Well, it may show up, but he's not in a starring role. They've barely mentioned him in this, if they have mentioned him at all in the article.
Right. And that's just kind of the problem that I have with Warner Brothers handling of the movies right now, is it seems like only one character matters, and because that's the character that turns money over. So
and
I mean, it's a good reason for them to matter, admittedly.
I understand. I'm not going to argue with that. I just
story, because I don't know how much if you've read the actual thing.
No.
Batman's hunting after a new serial killer called the Clockwork Killer.
The Clockwork
Killer. But it says it'll have a lot to do with the. It mentions specifically possibly the two worst parts of the original Flashpoint story, at least in my opinion. Uh-huh. The Aquaman stuff and the Wonder Woman stuff are both going to be returning elements, and those were two of the most mediocre elements for me.
Yeah, that feels
Yeah. Although I wouldn't describe them as two elements, because if I remember correctly, they were at war. So I would sort of describe that as one big thing.
Sure, two elements in the sense of there were two different characters. It was the take on each of those characters. It was two elements. It was the Aquaman and the take on Aquaman and the take on Wonder Woman. Yes, they were tied together in a story, but they had their own thing as well.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, though, I do think it's worth I don't know if did you guys see earlier today the Batgirl outfit was posted?
I saw it last night.
Yeah, it was last night. Yeah.
So whatever it happened. Yeah. Look, time is an illusion, okay?
That's only because you sleep at stupid hours, like 5 p.m.
Time is an illusion, and whatever. Do you know what? It looks very authentic for what it's going for, but unfortunately for me, it's going for the Burnside look, and I don't like the Burnside costume.
But as much as I don't like the Burnside era, the suit itself, like. I feel this is also playing off of the Yvonne Craig, 60s Batman.
I was going to say, because it's the darker purple as opposed to the bright purple of those, of that run.
Right.
This is that deep purple. It's closer to that.
Yeah, and it's not that like single-breasted, like almost tunic kind of look. This looks like a motorcycle jacket.
I will say, one, I'm not surprised that this is the outfit they chose to adapt.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think the story will adapt any of that, or even stylistically it'll be tonally that. I think it's one of the easiest costumes to adapt. And two...
I hate it. I don't care. I hate it.
Well, hang on. Two, I will be shocked if this isn't just the first...
No, you're probably right.
She makes herself and there's another one later.
She'll probably get one from Bruce at the end that's more, professional and whatever, right? That makes sense, right? It's kind of like Spider-Man getting Tony Stark to give him some fancy outfits. What I will say, though, is... What I really don't like about it, and what I especially don't like about it in live action, is that it looks like it belongs on the CW. Because one of the things I hate about the Flash outfit and some of the other ones in the CW is they have this they look like Flash's outfit a lot of the time on the CW show, and they've changed it as times went on, so it looks less like this now. But for a long time, it had this kind of feel like it was really just like a motorbike jacket that had a cowl, and it looked like a loose fit. It didn't feel like a superhero outfit. It felt like someone had converted something for cosplay purposes. So, and I get that the whole point of Batgirl's Burnside outfit is that it's meant to be a bit more like, lo-fi, and she did it herself and whatever. But I don't know. The jacket looks never done it for me.
I think it's fine. I like the color.
I don't mind it. I think I wouldn't have minded if the yellow popped a little bit more. I think I don't know if it's just the lighting of this picture, maybe, but the gold trim is a bit muted for me. I think I'd prefer it popped a little bit more. But overall, I mean, I don't hate it.
The reason for that, I think, is because the outfit's otherwise quite dark, is that you run the risk of the symbol and potentially, well, she's not wearing yellow gloves in this, I don't think, but she's got the boots on.
She's got the yellow boots and there's yellow on the inside of the cape.
Yeah.
which admittedly is brighter for the cape.
But the worry is that the yellow highlights of the outfit will pop more than her face, and you want her face to be the part of your eye goes to.
I get
when you
that.
see her.
I get it. Like, in terms of if you're making this as a movie, you have to take those things into consideration as opposed to just let's design an outfit, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it looks good. I don't have like massively strong opinions on this because it's at the end of the day.
I think it looks good.
I don't mind that much. Really, I'm not. I'm over nitpicking over costumes, kind of like it looks fine. It looks like a Batgirl outfit. It looks like
I'll
Batgirl
give you.
Outside outfit.
I'll
I'm
give you a
fine with
hot. I'll give you a hot take. Riddler's outfit's better.
No, hard disagree. This still looks like, take away the question mark on the Riddler, and you're like, oh, who's this serial
The
killer?
question mark's all you need. One question mark and then bim bang boom. That's Riddler.
Nah.
I
You
think we're
still
done with
look at this and know this is Batgirl. You know, I like the purple and yellow color scheme. It's just the motorcycle jackety-ness of it's a little bit weird. But yeah. Not better than the Riddler. Come on. That is a
Once again
spicy hot
proving he
take.
has no taste.
That is a Pepper X level spicy
I just
take.
knew that would piss you. Everyone's complaining about the Riddler's outfit in the new Batman movie. I just knew it would upset you.
I do like this, but I am surprised to see that there's a lot of people that aren't high on the Burnside era. I thought that was just us because I thought that was
I
well
think it's a
received.
generational thing. I think it's very popular with people.
Zimmers.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've read the Burnside stuff. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's not my favorite era.
I mean,
of
I
Batgirl.
dropped after like an arc. I didn't like it at all.
I read it all. I think it's perfectly decent. I would, if you slap the omnibus in front of me now and said read it, I go, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
I wouldn't hate my time with that. They're never going to please everyone, right? Like
No.
it's physically impossible. So they might as well pick their take and doing it. If they're going for Burnside, go for it.
I think the problem is though is that I've been so burned by DC comic movies over the past decade that I want pandered to, you bastards. Like, give me what I want.
You're literally getting your ideal Batman movie like next month.
But I don't need that. I've already had my ideal Batman trilogy. I don't need another Batman movie. Batman's been achieved.
Well, Birds of Prey exists.
That warms my heart to hear because I don't hear that. Batman fans seem to be very greedy and think that.
Like, I mean, I'll take more. I'll happily have more, but I don't need it. I want to see all these other characters be achieved, and Birds of Prey was not an example of that. So piss off.
Birds of Prey was fantastic. It's the best, still the best DC movie in the current set.
Extra breaking kind of news.
It's not breaking news. It's news that you both know about because we discussed this earlier in the week.
Oh.
But we obviously forgot about it because whatever site didn't mention it. This is the early cancellation of Wonder Girl.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is definitely news because issue 8 was solicited. That has been cancelled. So issue 7, which is next week's book or the week after, it's this month's book. It will be the last issue. They'll still have the 2 issues tying into Trial of the Amazons because they were. We noticed when we read those lists anyway, they were their own series as opposed to just the next issues. But yeah, this was in a letter to retailers. It said stay tuned for more on the future of Wonder Girl. So maybe they've got plans for mini.
It kind of implies that there's going to be a new book, or unless they're just skyrocketing her to just take over as Wonder Woman like really quickly, which
it's very possible given we don't know what this event is going to do. That could happen.
Yeah. So it could
you guys are a lot more positive on this than I am. Is that where she's just going to get swept under the rug?
I mean, it could be that, but the way it's phrased makes it sound like there is something planned. I will say that I'm not sad the book, if it is just ending. I mean, I've dropped it. I officially dropped it with issue 6 because I just didn't want to read it anymore. So
I may be more inclined to go and read issue 6 and then just read issue 7 just so I've read it all then at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, now it's ending.
Or was it issue 5 I read? Whatever the last one was I read. That's when
6, right?
Yeah, I think it was 6.
I don't remember if we read 6 or not.
I think we read 6. I think we talked about 6.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, I might read 7 because it's just, well, there's only one more. It's not that much at that point. But
yeah. So
It's hard to be too disappointed.
Honestly, it does kind of sound like it might just be a case of they're rejuggling the book either into a new title, or maybe this event's going to have her, like, you know, take over as Wonder Woman or something.
Yeah.
I just checked. I definitely read 6. I'm assuming
Yeah.
we all did. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if there's only one issue left, I might just read it.
Or maybe they'll do like some sort of plural thing. They'll do Wonder Woman.
No, I just feel like with everything that happened with Diana and you know, how that started and how it ended kind of messy, feels like they shifted gears to maybe Yara was supposed to take over, and then
It would
now
feel
they're
weird
shifting.
for it to do now that Diana's just got back to kind of go,
Right.
all right, and she's gone again now. It's Yara.
Yeah, that's why I just think that they're going to kind of sweep Yara under. Maybe there'll be a Wonder Girls book like we're doing with Batgirls, but look how long it took us to get a Batgirls book.
I wouldn't be
I don't-
opposed to a Wonder Girls book, though.
Either would I. I've always wanted a second Wonder Woman book. And while this wouldn't be Diana, this is better than a backup, you know. But yeah, it Wonder Girl felt rudderless, and it definitely felt like this was just the holdover from 5G that they tried to make work, and it just really wasn't. You know, it's kind of on the writer artist. I'm blanking on her name, Joelle Jones. Well, once she starts missing art duties, that's where you can kind of feel things are maybe going a little sideways.
Well, the sad part of that is that she's a great artist. Brighter though, like I feel at this point there's enough evidence to suggest that she's not that great at plotting out stories.
Yeah,
I agree. I think she's a great artist. I think all of the other artists who have joined her on that book have done a phenomenal job of emulating her style. That is borderline seamless. Don't want to, because obviously we say, the book kind of went off the rails when she stopped doing art. I don't think that's the cause of it. I think that's just it's a neat parallel, but I don't think there's a
It seemed to me like
correlation.
Plotting it seemed to take a lot more energy, right? Than
I think
it.
Fundamentally, she's just not an amazing.
Yeah,
actor, and that's okay. Her skills clearly lie in art, and she's
right. Not every. Right. I mean, we all see how Tom King draws. So.
Yeah.
You know.
I saw some of Ramvi's art last week.
Did I just say that Tom King's art was better than Joelle Jones? What?
No, but he was
his
talking
point
about how
was Tom
some
King
people just.
He thinks Tom King's a great writer, but a terrible artist.
Right.
And Joelle Jones is clearly a great artist, but maybe not such a great
I
writer.
don't know. He's King signaling. He's.
I haven't seen Tom Taylor's art, so I can't say. You know, so I have seen King's art, and he always puts "I'm sorry," so he knows.